Good morning, everybody. Today we have Dr. Chaddha talking to you about how to face the examiners. This is one of the most dreadful things which the candidates face, and they are obviously always scared of. So, sir will like to focus on something so that possibly he can alleviate the fears. So,
My dear colleagues, as you stand on the threshold of moving from becoming trainees to trainers, as you move from a situation where you are a protege to become a peer or a colleague, to a stage where you'll become a mentor and a role model, we all face examinations. Examinations where we are challenged as regards the information we have, as regards the knowledge we have, and finally, as regards the wisdom which we have gained. I'm here sharing with you what I have learned over the last 3 decades, from a time when I was a student to a time when I became a teacher to a time when I was an examiner, until today, where I look back, I look at myself having evolved from a protege to a peer to probably a mentor and a role model. How to face examiners? It is extremely common when we go for an exam that we are intimidated. We are in a minority. We feel we are the victims, while truthfully, we should try and become victors. How can we move from being a victim to a victor, from being just to prove to others to improving ourselves, is a process that I shall walk you through. I suggest getting intimidated is normal, but overcoming it is critical. We all tend to make mountains out of molehills. We struggle more from the fear of the unknown rather than knowledge of what we know. We need to look at things differently. Look at the situation from a different angle, and you will realize it's not really as bad as you were making it out to be. Life is full of challenges, but it's not as bad as it looked initially. My attitude in exams, they gave me questions I don't know, so I gave them answers that they don't know. Brilliant. Good way of looking at it. However, we have to use a combination of our neocortex and limbic cortex and adhere to basic principles as we move ahead in the examinations which are a part of life. How do we mature? Maturity is a progressive phenomenon. Let's look back to the time when most of us were 14 or 15 years old, when our parents drove four wheelers, and we always took a chance to sit holding the steering wheel, playing with the gear shift, pressing that clutch even if our left foot did not go all the way down, and got so much of happiness in doing that. Then we played with the gear shift and realized where is one, where is two, where is three, where is four, where is reverse. Finally, there came a stage when we put that learner's L board. And today, we can move around and drive safely even without a navigation aid, because we have reached a stage where we are aware of what we are doing and at a subconscious level. What do we learn and how do we mature? It is a process, and we must understand that there is no overnight Buddhu to Buddha. There is no instant awakening, there's no instant gratification. The only thing that happens instant in this world is Amazon Prime. And that's not a process that we go through as far as knowledge is concerned. Stage one, where many of us were when we entered orthopedics, is unconscious incompetence. I don't know that I don't know, but I've entered orthopedics because I have this role model or mentor in my mind. Then there comes a stage of conscious incompetence. This is during the first 6 months to 1 year of training, where our seniors have told us and convinced us that this is what you know and this is what you don't know. So you're conscious of your incompetence. Then comes this time that you train. This is where each one of you is probably today. Conscious competence means you know what you're doing. You're concentrating on every step that you take during surgery, during learning, during answering your case discussions, during visualization of x-rays, during discussion with patients, with peers, with colleagues. And finally, you reach a stage of unconscious competence. This is like driving a car for many of you today, where today you don't have to necessarily concentrate on what's happening on the road, nor on the rear view. It happens at a different level. That's the final stage of unconscious competence. What I do well, and it happens at a different level. Incompetence is lack of information, understanding, and experience, while competence comes by listening, contemplation, and implementation. So you have to listen, contemplate over what you've listened to, and implement what you gather from such discussions. How do we move ahead? Please remember, you have to aim to be the very best at everything you do. You cannot be second best. Even if you're sweeping the floor in your room, it has to be done the best way you can do it. Even if you're ironing your handkerchief, it should be the best way it should be done. You cannot be second best at that. And you are actually improving yourself. You're competing with yourself. I take you through the story of this gentleman. Many of you would have identified him. He's Lleyton Paes, probably the biggest achiever in tennis as far as our country is concerned. Why am I showing you so many pictures? Well, I'm showing you pictures because this young man, many years back, was at Wimbledon and was in the final of the junior Wimbledon. At Wimbledon in London, they have this green room where the finalists come and sit before they walk onto the court. He was there with his coach and he had arrived an hour earlier before the match. His coach looked at him and said, Lleyton, how are you feeling? Lleyton said, I'm feeling very nervous. Coach, you got to tell me, what's the best way that I'm going to beat my opponent today? Tell me, what should I do? The coach was sitting in one corner, relaxed, reading some newspaper. Lleyton was getting nervy, going up and down, moving from one end, one wall to the other. He said, Lleyton, relax. But Lleyton could not relax. So his coach told him, okay, Lleyton, I'll tell you something. Get me the Wimbledon brochure. You know what's a Wimbledon brochure? Well, it's a brochure which is released every year at Wimbledon and tells you the entire history of Wimbledon till that time. Lleyton looked around in that room. There was no brochure available. He said, there's no brochure here, but tell me, how am I going to win the match? He said, get me the brochure. Lleyton Paes could not find the brochure. He ran out. He walked down from the center court, went out of the green room, went all the way to a small store, one of those grocery stores where you get everything, general store types, picked up this brochure, which probably must have cost him £5 at that time, rushed back and gave it to his coach. His coach said, now Leander, open the brochure, look through it. It was 120 pages. He said, Leander, tell me the name of last year's junior Wimbledon runners-up. Leander took 120 seconds through each page, 2 minutes, but he could not find the name of the previous year's runners-up. Gentlemen, this is the message that was given by the coach to Leander Paes, who then went on to become junior Wimbledon champion in the year 1990. Aim to be the very best at everything to you, not second best. The runners up is not mentioned anywhere. If you go to work, do your job as well as is humanly possible. Failing is fine, but aiming for second best is not. The secret is that you have to have a benchmark where whatever you do, you are monitoring your own performance. Make your own goals personal, your aims simple and obviously attainable. Always expect more from yourself. We all tend to expect more from other people, but we have to expect more from ourselves. I'm sure all of you know this man. This is Sergey Bubka. How do we know him? What do we remember about him? Well, he was the pole vault world champion and somebody who was a role model in my youth. What is he remembered for? He's remembered for his 6 consecutive world championship gold medals. And above that, 35 times that he broke his own world record. Which means he kept competing with himself and broke his own record 35 times. Expect more from yourself. Go beyond that imaginary finishing line. Mediocres accept, champions go higher, deeper, and far beyond. Quitters never win, winners never quit. They don't do different things, they do the same things differently. Literally raise the bar. Sergey Bubka raised the bar literally. He competed with himself every day, and so must you, only with yourself. Have trust in yourself. Don't try to prove to others, but try to improve on yourself. For all this, we need a good coach. Why do we need a good coach? It's a good coach that can make good to great and great to unstoppable. What is this? We all know Novak Djokovic. And who's that man seated there with folded hands? That's the man who was a prodigy, Boris Becker. There was a time that Boris Becker was coaching Novak. At the time when Boris was coaching Novak, if Novak was to play Boris, Novak would have beaten Boris 6-love, 6-love, 6-love. However, he respected him as a coach. Why is that so? Because a good coach can turn good to great. There are 3 types of people in this world. Those who wonder what happened, those that watch what happens, and those that make things happen. Goodness can be turned to greatness if you make it happen. For this, keep the student within you alive. Have a coach who's your third eye. A good coach need not be better than you. Becker was not better than Novak at the time when he was coaching him, but he was a great observer. Always remember, in pushing the lower, the higher delights. What's the meaning of this? Well, we all know of this small slide in biology where a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It is a transformation. It is a form of evolution. Just when the caterpillar thought that the world was over, it became a butterfly. For the butterfly, it's a beginning. For a caterpillar, it's the end. Each one of us are caterpillars. It's only with challenges can we blossom and fly off and achieve heights like a butterfly. There will be struggles, suffering, challenging, resting periods, tough times. This is because we as human beings are being pushed and challenged. And in this, there is somebody up there who is delighting. When the caterpillar is being pushed, the butterfly is being born. Every time that the man is pushed, the creator delights. When the creation is being pushed, the creator delights. You must have instincts to choose between pain and pleasure, and you must have a conscience to choose between right and wrong. There's always a horizontal flux, pain, pleasure, right, wrong. And in making those right choices and decisions, there is a vertical rise or vertical expertise. Please remember, the greatest pride you will have is when you grow in your own eyes, not in the eyes of the world. And the greatest setback is when you fall in your own eyes. I again go back to my favorite sports example, Virendra Sehwag. There was enough news all over the media. He will never play for India again. Whose loss is it? Sehwag's? Somewhere his temperament was being challenged. But he looked up to that man whom he shadowed, that man whom he almost worshipped. And it was something that turned his subconscious doubt into subconscious belief. Written in Hindi there in small print is something I'll read out to you. He was at 294 and he told Sachin, who was at the other end, अब अगर सकलेन मुश्ताक आके मुझे गेंद करेगा तो मैं पहली गेंद पे छक्का मारूंगा. That one statement changed subconscious doubt into subconscious belief. The rest is history. The first man for India to have scored 300 and went beyond to score yet another 300 and almost reached a 400. The greatest pride is to grow in your own eyes. The greatest setback is to fall in your own eyes. Avoid using words like always, never. I'll never do this. Don't use it in practice or in life. I always do only this. Don't use it. Every patient is different. We have to learn. Every case you present is different. We have to learn. Make few commitments, live up to them. Reduce your subconscious doubt, increase your subconscious belief. Learn to do what you say, only then can you achieve what you dream. Make small promises and live up to them. Gentlemen and ladies, pathfinders have to be path breakers. If you want something you've never had, you've got to do something that you've never ever done. Step out of your comfort zone. Do things which you've never done but believe in. And above all, believe in yourself. Pathfinders have to be path breakers. Try the untried. Learn to unlearn. Take one step back, then take a step forward. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't change the final destination, just take a new path. Move from conventional to contemporary. If there's a minimally invasive way of doing it better, do it minimally invasive. Don't have to necessarily do it conventional. And evolve as you grow. Despite all this, you may not win all the time. Nobody wins all the time. Nobody loses all the time. Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Michael Jordan, Pele. What did Michael Jordan say, regarded as the greatest ever basketballer? I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. Nobody wins all the time. Nobody loses all the time. Mistakes will happen due to helplessness and negligence. Short-term setbacks, this is maturity gained. Short-term success, don't celebrate. It's just motivation. Good results come from experience. Experience comes from only bad results. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Defeat is not when you fall down. It's when you refuse to get up on a count of 10. Even up to 9, if you have the strength, you get up and fight, and you can win the bout, as is proven more than once in any boxing tournament that you may have seen. And I quote Samuel Beckett, and I do it ever and ever again. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, again, fail better. Just keep trying. Mediocres will always outnumber you. If you are skilled and talented, you need to have the right attitude and love and live above the mediocrity. Remember, you were born to lead. I take you to a situation where 21 years after the World Championship was held by Sergi Bubka, a young man called Reno Lavellini broke this record. It was 6.14 meters and he went across 6.15 and then 6.16. Who was the first one to congratulate Reno Lavellini? It was Sergi Bubka. This was a world record which stood for 21 years. What do we learn from Reno Lavellini? We learn that you should look up without submitting, giving in, or giving up. What is possible for one man is possible for all men. What one man can do, another can do better. Remember, each one of you, you are here because you were the leading sperm. Give it a serious thought. Even as a sperm, you were not a follower, you were a leader. You have to live up to your inheritance. Finally, I run you through a chart which I suggest you have to look at in the last 24 hours before any exam. I call this a Preop plan like a surgeon. 24 tips for 24 hours before the procedure. Check your intraoperative instruments. Before you go for an exam, do you have your ID card or your hall ticket? Do you have your apron, name tag, and stethoscope? Yes, we hardly use a stethoscope, but we need to carry it. Pens, pencils, eraser, marker, writing pad. Tape measure, goniometer, torch, hammer. Safety pin, common pin. Plumb line, cotton wool. Candies, sweets for pediatric patients. They get very cranky. Lozenges, paracetamol, band-aid for yourself. Hand wash or a soap paper. Get all these ready for you. Next, when you wash up, have you had a good haircut before you go for the exam? Have you cut your nails? Have you shaved men? Clean attire, smart casual, semi-formal. Proper socks, handkerchief, towel, shoes should be polished. Wristwatch with a second's hand. Why do I say that? Very often we are asked what is the pulse of the patient and we confidently say 72 per minute. You can only measure 72 per minute if you have a second's hand on your wristwatch. Is your cell phone charged? Are you carrying a charger and a power bank? Do you have a photo ID? Do you have Mahatma Gandhi in your wallet? Do you have a route map to the exam center? Very, very important. If any personal medications, are you carrying it? Best friends contact number. Keep all these ready with you. And with Gandhiji and with a route map, this is the way to go. Next, getting into the OT. Check the alarm clock and the battery when you wake up the previous night. Toiletries when you need them in the morning. Any religious commitments that you may have. Breakfast specifications. How are you going to reach your exam center? Bus, train, auto. Time for unexpected call or visit at home. Time for delay in transit. And if you come from the city that I come from, which is Mumbai, this is what we may face when we go for our exams. And we are stuck with our apron, with our stethoscope, with everything, but we can't reach our destination. Finally, as we come to the 11th hour, eat safe, sleep well, be aware of the news. Certain examiners ask you about the news. Read, revise, revisit only what's important. Avoid peers who are too overpowering. There are some of your friends who will ask you unnecessary questions. Just avoid them. Be with light-minded, immediate seniors or juniors. Avoid succumbing to examiners' pet questions. Be confident, but not egoistic. Have faith in what you know. Don't fear what you don't know. What is faith? Faith is full assurance in the heart. What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Have full faith in yourself and knock off that fear completely. Please remember, nobody has all the answers, including the examiners. So don't look at those answers which you could not answer, but look at those questions which you cracked. Despite all this, you may reach a situation where you may choke. I take you back to the 1993 Ladies Wimbledon final. Jana Novotna versus Steffi Graf. 6-7, 6-1, 4-1. Steffi Graf won the first set on tiebreaker. Jana Novotna swept the second set 6-1. Final set, because this is three setters in ladies, she's leading 4-1. She's serving 40-30, which means she wins the point, she goes 5-1 and she wins the tournament. She double flops. She loses the game, then she loses the set and she loses the match. 1997, she comes back into the final, this time against Martina Hingis. Loses again. 1998, she comes back to the Wimbledon final and faces Natalie Tauziat. 3 times in the final, third time she wins Wimbledon. How does this happen? Because she's no more Jana Chokotna. She does not choke anymore. Why do we choke? Why do the best of us fail during exams? During her first Wimbledon, when she was 24, she had led 4-1 in the deciding set, seemed to be on course to cause an upset against Steffi Graf, but lost. When presented with the runners-up trophy, she wept on the shoulder of the Duchess of Kent. The Duchess of Kent told her, "I believe you will do it." And yes, she did prove her so. At the age of 29 years of age and 9 months, she was probably the oldest person to have won Wimbledon the first time. That was Jana Novotna. She recently succumbed to a malignancy and is no more. But she taught us so much. She taught us the way that you can avoid choking. What did we learn? The explicit brain or the neocortex starts interfering with the implicit mind or the limbic cortex. The explicit brain talks about tactics and strategy, while the implicit talks of technique and execution. How do we go wrong? When we are at this critical stage in the exam, we need to focus on the process and not the product. The purpose is going through, the process is appearing for the exam. The moment you start imagining that you've either got the gold medal or you failed, you choke. How does one avoid that? The mantra is to follow that this is just another exam and follow the acronym of WIN. WIN. What's important now? Just go through the process of the exam. Don't look at yourself either as a failure or as a gold medalist. That's the best way to go. Please remember, do not let the fruit be the purpose of your actions. You won't be attached in doing your duty. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. Gentlemen and ladies, I wish you all the best. Always remember that there is something called Murphy's Law of Perversity, and we will struggle with it, and we'll have to struggle with it all our lives. There is no perfect ending. There is no perfect world. Please remember that we all live in worlds which can change.